So just a little bit of background on the Innovation Fund. We were established as part of the FY21 National Defense Authorization Act. We received our $1.5 billion funding as part of the CHIPS and Sciences Act. And the Innovation Fund is codified in U.S. code. So all of that to mean we've got $1.5 billion, and it would literally take an act of Congress to change that or potentially add more money to that. The FY21 NDAA established 7 primary objectives for us to get after with the money that we've been assigned. So ultimately, they're focused on accelerating the commercial adoption of Open RAN and looking at things like multi-vendor integration, looking at network security. How do we really create a secure virtualized network? I think the importance of this and really the mission that we're trying to get after by implementing open and interoperable is really underscored by what happened before the holidays, right? So it was illuminated that the telecom networks were vulnerable, right? We are vulnerable. So how do we ensure that our telecom networks are more secure and really trying to leverage the funding that we have, especially part of this NOFO, to make security a big portion of what is being developed as we're designing these networks for these industry verticals and allowing the virtualization piece to become really the foundation of the network. So based on the objectives that Congress outlined, we established a vision for the program. And we really see that ultimate vision that when we're done with the Innovation Fund, that there's a vibrant ecosystem of trusted suppliers and that there is Open RAN deployed not just domestically, but overseas as well. We've really got a healthy ecosystem of that. And the vehicle that we've been handed to do that is grants. So through the congressional statute, it specifies that we are issuing competitive grants. So that's why you are all here today as part of that competitive process to get after driving that innovation. So next slide. So while you're here today, Sarah Morris mentioned the 2 research topic areas that we've included as part of NOFO 3. And, like I've said in the past, NOFO 3 really is focused on software. We are driving towards applications for those software, but at the heart of what we're doing for both research topic areas is really focused on software development. So research area 1 calls for industry vertical solutions. And what we are really trying to get after is a demonstration of the monetary value that Open RAN can provide that proprietary solutions cannot do, right? So the option of accessing a RIC, of the interfaces, of getting at data that is not necessarily open in current proprietary single stack solutions is what we are trying to demonstrate and show the value. We have not specified what your industry vertical has to be. We've left that open-ended. I think there are a lot of applications where Open RAN can be implemented to show the value. And there are probably applications that we haven't thought of, but the NOFO is open enough such that you can come in with your best idea as to what industry vertical you think you are filling. Some of them that we've talked about quite often is agriculture, unmanned aviation, manufacturing, right? How do you optimize, create efficiencies, and make it economically appealing to adopt open and interoperable? So the pieces and parts of that we've called out in terms of what is a good application or what you need to come forward with. And Sarah Morris mentioned this, right? This need for partnerships. So in order to apply, one must have a minimum of 2 partners coming to the application. So there could potentially be more, but at a minimum, we need someone to come in who is in essence, the customer or the owner of the mining or the agriculture unit or whatever it might be. That would be one piece, as well as a software solution developer. So who's coming in developing the software to enable these capabilities? And then the third piece is that network provider. It could be an option where there are just 2 companies that can fulfill that. Maybe it's 3, maybe it's more. But at a minimum, you have to have those 2. And in terms of eligibility of all of those partners, we are asking that at least one of those partners have ultimate beneficial ownership in the United States. So that means you could have one with UBO in the US and then the other two, potentially foreign. In terms of period of performance for these efforts, we've called out not to exceed 36 months, which feels a bit long, but it is a bit longer because of what we're asking for, right? So we're asking for really a pilot demonstration capability. So a prototype demonstrating that you are achieving the optimization, the cost efficiency, whatever it might be for your specific industry vertical. And then in terms of place of performance, we have specified that it can be in the US or it can be overseas. Obviously, those covered entities that are called out are not areas where the work can be performed, but otherwise it's open. And then the final nugget for this research area is a minimum cost share of 30%, which is higher than we've asked for in the past. But, based on what we saw in NOFO 2 and the volume of you that submitted to NOFO 2, cost share was pretty well supported. So, we're hopeful that a lot of you will submit great applications that achieve all of these objectives here. Okay, so research area 2. To me, this is really the biggest technical challenge I think that remains as a barrier to the adoption of Open RAN. So the idea that you've got an RU vendor, a DU vendor, a CU vendor, somebody coming in with the SMO, how do you put all of those pieces together and do so efficiently in a cost and time efficient manner? Right now, it takes a really long time. And quite frankly, I think that's the biggest barrier to the mobile network operators really adopting this at scale, right? Because it takes a lot of time and a lot of money to implement these open architecture solutions. So what we're asking for in this research topic area is a software solution to automate that integration and to streamline that and to make that more cost effective. And the hope is that will then propel that commercial adoption and ease that deployment of open and interoperable networks. So the funding range we've called out for this topic area is between $9 and $18 million. And this also has a big focus on partnership, right? So the idea that you're developing an automation tool in isolation is not really a good automation tool, right? So you need to come in with partners, a minimum of 3 partners to demonstrate that you can automate that integration across a few vendors, right? At a minimum that RU, DU, CU. Ideally, it would be more, right? That you could be a tool that is easily, I don't know if modular is the right word, but can easily apply and easily integrate most components or pieces of the network. Somebody that's eligible, they have to be able to demonstrate that they in fact can develop this software solution. And only one of the partners has to be ultimate beneficial ownership in the United States. And just like research area 1, the work can be performed in the US or overseas, again, excluding those covered entities. Now, for the period of performance for this specific research area, we've specified it should not exceed 18 months. And the thought here is, while there are going to be multiple partners needed to demonstrate this capability, it is a software development effort. And the hope is that this can be achieved in relatively short term and we can have an impact as quickly as possible, getting over this barrier. And then last, in terms of cost share, we've specified a minimum cost share for this research topic area as 20%. So I've really just given you sort of a teaser, the background on each of these research areas that we have in the NOFO. I am going to hand it over to my team at this point to go into a lot more detail about the specific aspects of the NOFO and each of these elements. And then we will walk through. I'll have a moderated panel of question and answers for the team, and then open it up to you guys to ask all the questions that you have. So we are at your disposal until 1 o'clock today. So, I would ask that you use us and get everything out of this team that you can before you leave here today. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Richard Upchurch to talk through the policy pieces of the NOFO.